Let's cross to Canberra now and catch up with National Senator Matt Canavan, former Resources Minister. Good to talk to you, Matt. You didn't get an invite to the Met Gala this year?
Not this year, Chris. I suppose I was waiting by the phone, but didn't ring.
Now,
I have hope for next year.
Tell us about the latest interest rate rise, the economic situation, the budgetary pressures. Well, Labor's just unlucky, are they? They come into government and we get 10 straight interest rate rises.
Well, today's interest rate rise was unexpected by the markets, but I think what you can take from it is it is a vote of no confidence from the Reserve Bank in the government's fiscal strategy. Obviously, the Reserve Bank Governor can't himself come out and criticise Labor's big spending plans, but by continuing to raise interest rates, it shows that he just has no confidence that the current government itself will help him control inflation. And there's been a lot of talk from the Treasurer over the past year that he's going to restrain spending, that he wants to try and inflation is his top priority. But all we see is more spending. We saw more over the weekend where apparently we can find a few $100 million for a new football stadium while inflation is running out of control. The government just doesn't have a fiscal strategy here to control inflation. It is all talk and no action. Maybe we'll see something in next week's budget, but their current form does not bode well.
The point about the budget is we're likely to see a big boost in revenue, right? Revenue's right up because of inflation, our resources boom. So the coal that the government hates is going to deliver a financial windfall and the like. The problem is how much of that has actually sunk into the bottom line to pay off debt, or how much Labor just decides to spend. Exactly
right. And we saw that in last year's budget. Labor funded their big election promises through that resources boom. Who knows what we're going to see next week? But right now, what we should be doing is seeking to help the Reserve Bank keep down inflation on Australian households. And the way to do that is to control and be prudent and frugal with our spending, our government spending. We obviously spent way too much during the COVID pandemic. That has been done and that has helped fuel this inflationary outburst. We now need a government that can properly control your nation's finances. Now, as I say, the form of the Labor Party is never really good on this front, and you just don't get a huge amount of confidence from the Treasurer. He never seems quite sure of himself. He changes his tune from day to day. He's a bit of a happy-go-lucky sort of guy, but has he really got the guts and the ticker to stare down big spending ministers around his cabinet table?
We will see on Tuesday, but I think he's going to try and solve a lot of political problems with money. Now, just quickly, I've got to get your thoughts on immigration. I talked last night how we're looking at 700,000 extra people, net terms, over the next 2 years, a Canberra and a Newcastle over the next 2 years. Surely this is too much for our economy and our infrastructure to sustain at the moment.
Well, I completely agree. I spoke in the Senate on this just a few weeks ago, that I think our first task is to provide adequate housing to all Australians first. I'm not against a migration program, and we're a growing country, we should be able to take more people over time. But right now, we have the shocking situation of working Australian families having to live in tents. I spoke to someone just this week who has witnessed this and seen it in suburbs of Brisbane, but it's happening right around the country where there's just not enough housing and infrastructure for the Australians that are here. And so if governments do want to bring in more people, if big businesses want more people to work and fill labour shortages, we've got to fix our housing and infrastructure issues first. Now, we're not going to do that by new taxes on housing investment, but the government's got to help and plan here, cut the red tape, get new houses built, because that's the only way ultimately we'll be able to have more people live in this country and have shelter, the basic needs of their lives.
Now, on another issue, congratulations to you teaming up with some other senators to focus on a bill that will attempt to eradicate some workplace discrimination in this country. That is vaccine mandates. People still kept from their jobs in this country because of COVID-19 vaccine mandates. What chance that you can actually get the Parliament to debate this bill in a timely manner?
Well, look, unfortunately, given it's only myself, Senators Antich, Rennick, and there's a similar bill by Senators Hanson and Roberts, unfortunately, we're probably not going to get the bill debated or voted on or passed in the Parliament. What we're doing here, though, is highlighting the fact and reminding Australians that there are still thousands of Australians out of work because of these mandates. most of us have moved on from the pandemic. For those Australians, it's still affecting them every single day. Now, since we did launch our bill and we put letters out to a bunch of businesses that have or did still have vaccine mandates, surprise, surprise, many of those businesses dropped their mandates instead of appearing at the Senate. So that was at least one positive outcome. But there is harrowing stories we heard today from a young single mother who tragically lost her 21-year-old daughter following the Moderna vaccine that she was forced to take, given Dan Andrews' mandates at the time. And also, shockingly, Chris, we found out that a fifth of the complaints to the Fair Work Commission about unfair dismissal or the general protections under the Fair Work Act have been in the last year because of vaccine mandates and vaccine mandates issues. That just shows how many Australians have been impacted by this overreaction during COVID, and it's something that's been swept under the carpet by most of the media, I should say, with the exception of yourself, and congratulations for what you've done to highlight the overreaction of COVID.
Well, good on you drilling into this and getting that information, and we'll follow it up again, Matt. I appreciate it.